Hi, this is Sarah Gross with GraphicsCrusher.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to edit a lead generation template from our lead gen crusher package. It's very similar to editing any mini site or squeeze page template, so if you've watched those trainings, it's going to be very, very similar. So here is how we would get started. This is one of the templates and what it would look like live, and we just simply need to go in and I don't think it was that way. I think we are looking at number 2 here, and we open it up just like that, and that's how I got to that page. If you double click, it's going to open it up directly in a web browser and give you a preview, but we want to open it up in Dreamweaver, or you can use any free HTML editor like Composer or NVU. And the same principles are going to apply there. So what we are looking at here is a split view, and the split view here is giving us the live view and the coding underneath. Some of the things that you need to think about is any links within this document you need to customize for your purpose or your client's purpose. These 4 links need to be replaced with whatever links you need in there for either, like I said, yourself or your client. So you would need to go through and find out where they are. Depending upon which type of HTML editor you're using, sometimes if you click on it, it's going to show up here. If you don't have this type of view, if you're just totally looking at a raw HTML view, what you can do is go to Edit and then do Find and Replace. I copied in Home there, and now it's taking me to where that is in reference to the HTML raw coding. And now I can say, okay, I went out of there. It's not letting me close. Okay, so now I can then edit this actual text here and put it to whatever home page I want that home tab to redirect it to, and so forth. So I'd need to do that for each one of them. Where do you put the URL? Well, you put it in between the quotes. So the ahref is the HTML tag for linking a word or an image to a specific URL. So anything that you want to link, the about is the word up here, and this ahref tag right before that word about is where you would put the URL that you want the about to be linked to. And you would continue doing that for each one of your navigation links, both at the top and all these at the bottom as well. And then you want to go ahead and start changing out any HTML text. These are images, so we'll show you how to adjust those in the PSD file here in a second. So these are all images. This is a totally image-based mini site, so we can't actually, you can see that nothing is actually HTML here, so we need to go into the actual PSD file associated with this mini site to make the changes. So what we need to do is open up this file right here, and we open it up into Photoshop, or if you have a program like GIMP, if you don't have Photoshop, GIMP can manipulate uncompressed Photoshop files as well, so they can manipulate the raw PSD files. Okay, once you open up the Photoshop file, you then can make changes to the slices. So if you want to change out, let's say we have, this is about physicians, let's go with dentists. So free, okay, that's just saying I don't have that particular font loaded up. If you wanted to get that particular font, by the way, you would go out to font.com. Search for that particular font. Okay, this one's actually a paid one. So what we would do is then do a substitute. So that's totally fine. So if you find out it's a paid font and you don't want to use that, just use a substitute, and the Photoshop will find something similar and it will be totally fine. So we will say free dentist quotes. Then we push OK. And then we go over here to this bottom one here, push the T for the text editor, best source, trusted source for the best dentist, quotes, push OK. And need to continue changing out, push OK. So the text editor icon is still selected. We highlight the text that we want to change. Capitalize that Q there. Push OK. And we can change out. Okay, let's say we want to change out the colors of some text. So how would we do that? What we would do is highlight the text color, or the text that we want to change the color in. Let's change this blue dentist up here. And change this to red. So I'm going to match this red down here. I could use the color wheel. So what I did is highlighted the text that I wanted to change the color. I selected this little color thumbnail up here. It brings up your color picker. You can either use the selector window, or you can drag your cursor off and use this little color picker, and it will match that color that you're selecting. So we want that red. And then we push OK to accept that. And so we want to say this is in okay, and that was actually italic, so we will go semi-bold italics. Okay. And what else do we need to do? It looks like that's pretty good. Now, what if we wanted to change the colors of some of these objects that aren't text? What we would need to do is make sure we have the Move and Select tool selected. We need to click on the object that we want to change the color, and we then double click on the thumbnail associated with that layer. If we want to make sure we're changing the right thing, we can toggle this little eyeball on and off, and that is for sure the blue opt-in area over here that we're going to change. So if we want to change the raw color, the main color, we double click on the color thumbnail, and then we can use the color picker to go ahead and make any changes we want to there. Let's go ahead and put it to this gold color, start gold. If we don't like that, we just go back here to edit and step backwards, and it returns it back to the original state. Let's say we instead wanted to, where did that shape go? There it is. If we wanted to change the gradient, we could double click on it, go here into the gradient overlay, make sure the gradient overlay section is highlighted, then double click on this gradient slider, and then we can go in and change out the gradient that's being overlaid on top of it. Gradient is very subtle, that's changing. You can actually see some slight changes back there, but it's very subtle. You can see it lightened it up a bit. So we'll go ahead and do edit, undo, step backwards. All right, and then what we could do is change this out by we can adjust the styling here. We might want to take off the drop shadow, see what it looks like with the inner shadow. We could change out and put a stroke in around it or not. We could change out the gradient overlay by clicking on the gradient overlay selection, double clicking on the gradient slider, and seeing what these various gradient effects do to it. That's an option. Maybe we want to change out this black arrow. Put a little texture on there. We want to change that to an orange color, or this yellow color here. All sorts of things are possible, so we don't want to keep that. Let's step backwards. All right, so that should give you a pretty good example about how you would change most things in here. It's a matter of either using the text tool or the select and move tool, and then clicking on the color thumbnails, or left clicking, double clicking to the right of the layer name, and it brings up all sorts of style options that we can change out. So how do we save this? Well, what we need to do is we need to save the slices that we've changed and save them to our image folder. So what we need to do is go into Save for Web Devices, and then we need to select Original, and then we need to go through and have this little slice tool, slice icon selected, and we use the Control key, or the Shift key rather, and hold that down and select all the slices that we have changed. We would have probably changed the phone number as well. And these are all the things that we want to replace. Okay, well that'll at least give us a pretty good start on how we would do that. Then we would go make sure it's PNG 24, replace it with a like type of file, and push save. Then we need to navigate to where our image folder for that particular template is, and we'll just type in, and that's going to be our placeholder for our new images. These are all the ones here actually that have the 4 X's before. So these are our new images. And then we have to figure out, we'll drag them into our main folder. Copy them into here, and so that way we're making sure our HTML web document is referencing the right image folder, and we just have to make sure we rename them to the exact name that is corresponding to our original document. So we have to go through, I don't think we changed that one out. Well, let's go this way. So this is the big one that says get free quotes for dentists. So we have to find out, we'll go into this view. That one is the big.png. So we'll rename this to big 2. And we'll go into here to get info, and we'll name this big. So this one, it looks like it is, I think it's the logo. Free chiropractor quotes. Yes, so it's the logo one, so we'll name this one logo 2. And the reason why I'm renaming the original is because I can't save the new one as that file name until I make room and delete the old file name. So I'm just slightly adjusting it so I can replace that logo with the new one. The 06 one is the phone number, so I need to go in here and do 06 number 2. I'm just going to copy that here. And this is the last one that we need to replace, and it looks like it's X17. And I have a Mac, so I go into Get Info to rename it. You might have something when you right-click, an option that says rename that folder if you are on a PC. So that's how you would get to it there. And now it looks like all my oops, got one more here. So that's the help.png. So we'll rename that to help2. Rename this one to help. All right. So all the new images have been renamed to reference what they should look like in our original document here. And there you go. See, when we look at it live, it is now referencing our PSD document that we just made changes to. And that's how you would make changes to the other lead gen templates as well. Hopefully that helped, and I'll see you in the next video.